the Chase Thomas Podcast, for people who have nothing but time to kill.
I am very, very curious how that game goes. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, what's your gut feeling right now on how we're going to be talking about Nate Ament and Jacoby Gillespie in mid-February, based on what you've seen thus far?
I think, this feels like overreaction season to me. And we've seen Jacoby. I mean, we've seen both of them. And I think Nate can obviously still has a long way to go, just him being, a young kid. And we've seen Jacoby go off in some games this year. I think it's going to be in a much more positive light. And I think we're going to be looking at those guys as the reason that Tennessee is one of the better teams in the country at that point, and probably has the chance, to get to another Elite Eight, to maybe get to a Final Four, make that deep run in March. But, it's growing pains for Nate right now. And, when shots aren't falling for Jacoby, the value goes down. So it's hard. It's hard. And I think Jacoby's been in a spot this year where, he's had to provide a lot of the scoring, which obviously you expect from him. He should be your top scorer every night. But when those shots don't fall, I mean, when you go 6 for 20 and you're just not getting that consistency, it gets frustrating for a guy like that. And, that's where, again, a guy like Nate, a young kid who, takes 14 shots against Illinois and goes 4 for 14. You're going to have to deal with the mental aspect of that. And that's when you need guys like Amari Abram. We saw Jalen Carey do it against Syracuse. That's when you need those guys to step up. And I think they're going to be okay. I think Tennessee as a whole will be okay. Those two are guys that I'm not really worried about because we've seen what they can do. And, I think we're going to be looking at Nate as a superstar at the end of this year. Like, a lot of NBA teams think, he is. And so the same thing with Jacoby. I think he can be a better point guard than Zakai Ziegler. I said it a few weeks ago. He's got more to offer, I think. So I think, it's understandable to overreact just based on these last two games, but I think Louisville, they'll come out a lot better and cleaner because, how Rick Barnes is. He's going to push him in practice. Not that he hasn't already, but that's the focus now. It's can we translate it from practice to the game?
I think you're more bullish on Nate than me the rest of the way. If Nate was coming back for a year or two, I'd buy some Nate stock back. Yeah. And I'm not selling. I don't think it's like a panic. Like it's not that Nate it's over and that Nate's going to be Julian Phillips or something for Tennessee.
Yeah.
But I also don't think he's going to be Cameron Boozer for Tennessee.
Yeah.
I don't think that kind of jump is going to happen here over the next 4 months. And I would love to be wrong here. I think Nate can still do a lot of stuff well. I think seems like he's pressing. It feels like he is just kind of getting in his own head because there's a lot of pressure on him. Like he's being asked to basically be the Dalton Connect, Chaz Lanier, big time perimeter scorer wing who needs to carry this offense in crunch time and when they're down. And he's a lot younger than Chaz and Dalton were when they were thrust in that role. So I think it's very different. You have to keep that in mind when folks are frustrated with where Nate's at right now. But I think Jacoby, like you said, against Houston and other big games to start this year, and you saw even against Illinois, like the shots are he's going to keep firing. And I think Jacoby's offense is still going to be very strong for Tennessee. He's got to clean up the turnovers. I would like to see him get to the line more. Like he didn't shoot any free throws in that Illinois game. I don't know. It's kind of that Kyrie thing where I just never understood why Kyrie has just never found the free throw line. He's just so good at evading contact where you're like, well, no, go take some fouls like every now and then. Let's go to the line and put some people in foul trouble. But that's just nitpicking. I think Jacoby, we've also seen it like the Crab 5 last year and with how hard Barnes pushes his point guards traditionally. Like I think Jacoby's going to be fine. I think Jacoby is going to be one of the best guards in the SEC. Once we get into SEC play, I think he's going to be fine. I just don't know if the timeline's going to be there for Nate. Like I don't know if he's going to get to that level that you and I both know he can when Tennessee needs him to get there. And it's kind of the roll of the dice with true freshmen, these 5-star big time talents is like, sometimes they're immediately ready to put the team on their back, a la Greg Jennings, but he's maybe not that guy, which is okay. Like I think it's just, he's young and it's really hard for these guys when everyone's looking at them and targeting them and trying to make life as hard as possible for Nate. I'm very curious how he responds because it's only going to get harder. It's only going to get harder in SEC play with the physicality, with guys going at him, defenses just really, really pushing Nate. And I don't know. I'm very curious how it goes for him, but it is interesting to see how he has played during this 3-game losing streak. And we had that where he's out of bounds when he catches the ball at the 3 in the corner, and you're like, those are just little things that just can't happen for Nate. But yeah, I don't know. Jacoby, I think in mid-February we're talking about him as one of the SEC best point guards. Nate, I don't know. I'm still wait and see on where Nate's at.
I mean,
he's
the
got
bar
a slow
is just,
release, man. That's one thing. I wish we could.
No,
I think we could speed that up.
I feel like sometimes it looks like he's playing in slow motion, and I don't know how to describe it, but I think, and Rick has talked about him being more aggressive they're working on him being more aggressive. And I think, it might be more of a mindset thing. I mean, we know he has the talent, we know he has the skills, but, when you get to this level, a lot of it's mindset. And I think, you're going to see nights where he's going to have that mindset. And I think that's the big thing that I'm looking to is I trust him to make that mindset shift once, these games start to matter a lot more. And I mean, I really do expect him to be one of the best players on the floor night in and night out once we get into conference play. I mean, obviously that's why he's here. And I think it's more of a mindset thing for him. So, we'll see. And I think these growing pains are important, in any career, and not everybody's going to come out of the gates hot. And I don't know if he necessarily has. So, it might be a slow burn here in these early months, but once conference play gets here, I think he's going to heat up.
Nicely done, nephew. The Chase Thomas Podcast. Hell yeah.